Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Spruce Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 10 NFL predictions. So last week, I had a record of 11-4, and that brings my record on the season to 88-50. Kicking things off this week with Thursday Night Football, where we have the Ravens hosting the Bengals. So the Ravens got back on track last week as they demolished the Broncos, winning 41-10, and the Bengals, they've been playing pretty well. But I think this is going to be a great game, as when these teams met in Week 5, the Ravens won in a 41-38 overtime thriller, and I think we're going to see a similar game. As both these teams are great offensively, the Bengals have the seventh best scoring offense, scoring 26.2 points a game, and the Ravens are second in the NFL, averaging 31.4 points a game. And both teams also aren't the greatest on the defensive side of the ball, as the Ravens are allowing 24.3 points a game, and the Bengals allowing 25.2 per game. So both teams are very similar, and I think this is going to be a very entertaining, high-scoring game, very similar to their first matchup. But I'm going to take the Ravens to get the win. They're home, and Lamar Jackson has owned the Bengals in his career with a 9-1 record against them in 10 starts. But I think both offenses will play very well. This is going to be a high-scoring, thrilling game, and the Ravens win by a score of 38-34. Moving to the games on Sunday, beginning with the Giants against the Panthers in Germany. So this is going to be a terrible game, as we have the Giants who are 2-7 against the Panthers who are 2-7. Now the Panthers are actually coming off a win where they beat the Saints 23-22, but they're still really bad. The Panthers offense is scoring just 16.3 points a game, and they'll be starting Bryce Young for the third straight game, and he faces a solid Giants defense, allowing 22.4 points per game, and they're pretty good against the pass, allowing 191 passing yards per game. Then on the flip side, it is the worst scoring offense against the worst scoring defense, as the Giants offense is scoring just 15.4 points a game, and the Panthers are allowing 32.6 points a game. But this is a game that could really go either way, and is very hard to predict with how bad both teams are. But the Giants, they've run the ball fairly effectively. Rookie running back Tyrone Tracy has been playing well, and I think he'll find a lot of success on the ground against a horrible run defense, which is actually the worst run defense in the NFL. I think that's going to lead the Giants to find some offensive success. Their defense is better here, and I've got the Giants winning in a terrible, low-scoring, boring game, 17-10. Up next, we have the Patriots at the Bears. So the Bears haven't been playing well lately, as they've lost back-to-back games, and they're coming off a terrible showing against the Cardinals, losing 29-9. But they don't face a bad Patriots team, and they have a good opportunity to snap their two-game losing streak. The Bears' defense is great, allowing 18.5 points a game, which ranks top 5 in the NFL, and they don't face a Patriots offense that ranks bottom 5 in the NFL, scoring just 15.7 points per game. Then on the other side, the Bears' offense has been a big reason why they've lost their past two games, as in those games they're averaging just 12 points per game. But they don't face a Patriots defense that is allowing over 24 points a game. But the Bears, they're the better team here on both sides of the ball. Their offense will find success, their defense is already good, and I've got the Bears getting back to winning here, and they'll beat the Patriots fairly easily, 23-14. Up next, we have the Bills at the Colts. So the Colts turned to Joe Flacco at quarterback last week, but he was not the answer, as the offense scored just 13 points. But Joe Flacco will be getting to start again this week for the Colts. And the Colts, they're scoring 20.9 points per game, but they now face a good Bills defense, allowing 19 points a game. Now, the Bills did struggle last week against the Dolphins, but their defense is still pretty good. Now, offensively for the Bills, they're playing well. They're averaging 28.9 points per game, and have scored at least 30 points in 3 straight games. They now face a Colts defense that allows a lot of yards, allowing 383 yards per game, but does a pretty good job keeping opponents off the board, as they're allowing just 21 points a game. But the Bills, they've been playing well, especially offensively. I think that continues, and I don't think the Colts will be able to keep up with the Bills, as they have now scored more than 20 points in 4 straight games, and I've got the Bills winning this one by a score of 27-17. Up next, we have the Broncos at the Chiefs. So the Broncos, they've been pretty good so far this year, as they're sitting at 5-4, but they're coming off a terrible loss to the Ravens, losing 41-10. They don't face a Chiefs team that is still undefeated, and coming off one of their best games of the season. The Broncos need their defense to play a lot better than they did last week, because if they're consistently allowing 40 points, they're not going to be able to win. But the Broncos' defense is pretty good, allowing about 18 points a game, and I do think they'll be a lot better than they were last week. But they don't face a Chiefs offense that's scoring 25.4 points a game, and is playing well, having scored at least 27 points in 3 straight games. On the other side, the Broncos offense is scoring 20.3 points a game, and they face the fourth best scoring defense in the NFL, as the Chiefs are allowing 18.4 points a game. But I have the Chiefs getting the win here. I think the Broncos will keep this close and make this game pretty interesting, but I just don't think they're good enough to get the win. Chiefs are the better team here on both sides of the ball. Patrick Mahomes has also dominated the AFC West with a 32-5 record, and the Chiefs, they win this one by a score of 24-18. Up next, we have the Falcons at the Saints. So the Saints are an absolute disaster right now. They just lost to the Panthers, they've lost 7 straight games, and they just fired head coach Dennis Allen, although I do think that's a step in the right direction. But the Saints, they don't face a Falcons team that is playing pretty well, having won 5 of their last 6 games. The Falcons offense has really found their stride, scoring 24.6 points per game, and they have a top 10 passing offense in the NFL, throwing for 246 yards per game. They don't face a Saints defense that is the 7th worst scoring defense in the NFL, allowing 25.4 points a game, and they're also 7th worst against the pass, allowing 239 passing yards per game. Then offensively for the Saints, they aren't good, as on their losing streak, which is 7 games, they're scoring just 16 points per game. Now they do face the Falcons defense isn't the greatest, allowing about 24 points a game, but I just don't really think the Saints offense is that good. The Falcons, they've been playing well. They don't face a struggling Saints team. Kirk Cousins and the Falcons offense has a big game against a bad defense, and the Falcons win easily 27-12. Up next, we have the Buccaneers hosting the 49ers. So the 49ers are coming off a much needed bye, as they didn't have the greatest first half, and they're just 4-4, but they'll be getting Christian McCaffrey back from injury, and he is set to make his season debut. Now, the 49ers have been good running the football without McCaffrey, as they have a top 5 rushing offense without him, but they're an entirely different team when he's playing versus when he's not playing. As when he's on the field, they're scoring about 5 more points than when he's not on the field, and the 49ers have a 22-5 record with Christian McCaffrey, and are 4-5 without him. But the 49ers, they've been pretty good so far offensively this season, as they're scoring 26.3 points a game, and they face the Buccaneers defense isn't great, allowing 27 points a game. Then offensively for the Buccaneers, they're banged up, but they're still pretty good, scoring 28.8 points per game. And they don't face a 49er defense that is solid, allowing 22.8 points per game. But I could see this game going either way, but I'm going to take the 49ers to get the win. I think the return of Christian McCaffrey will help an offense that's already good, and the 49ers win in a high-scoring game, 31-26. Up next, we have the Steelers at the Commanders. So this is a really interesting matchup, as we have 2 really good teams. The Steelers, they're 6-2, and the Commanders, they're 7-2. The Commanders, they've been great offensively, scoring 29.2 points a game, which is 3rd best in the NFL. But they now match up against a great Steelers defense, which is the 2nd best scoring defense in the NFL, allowing just 14.9 points per game. Plus, the Steelers defense got even better after they traded for Preston Smith earlier this week. On the flip side, the Steelers offense has been good, scoring 23.4 points a game, but they've been even better in the 2 games Russell Wilson has started, as in his 2 starts, they're averaging 31.5 points a game. Steelers offense now faces the Commanders defense that's solid, allowing 21 points a game, but like the Steelers earlier this week, made a big trade addition as the Commanders added Marshawn Lattimore. But this is a game that could really go either way. This is a very difficult game to predict, and it's a really interesting matchup. We have an elite offense against an elite defense. But the Commanders are home, and I'm going to take them to get the win, but this game is pretty close to a coin flip, and I could really see this game going either way. But I've got the Commanders winning this game 23-20. I also think we're going to learn a lot about the Steelers in this game, because while they are 6-2, they've played a lot of pretty bad teams, as they've played just 3 teams who are currently over 500. So we're going to learn a lot about the Steelers in this game. Up next, we have the Vikings at the Jaguars. So the Jaguars aren't good, sitting at just 2-7, and they're not going to be without Trevor Lawrence as he has a shoulder injury. So that means Mac Jones will be getting the start for the Jaguars. But the Jaguars' offense is scoring 21.7 points per game, but they're not playing with a backup quarterback against good Vikings defense that's allowing 18.8 points per game. On the flip side, the Jaguars have the 3rd worst scoring defense in the NFL, allowing 28 points per game, and they match up against the Vikings offense that's scoring 26.1 points per game. But the Vikings, they're the much better team here. They'll win this game pretty easily, and I've got them beating the Jaguars by a score of 26-13. Up next, we have the Chargers hosting the Titans. So the Titans picked up their 2nd win of the season last week as they defeated the Patriots, but they now faced a pretty good Chargers team sitting at 5-3. The Titans offense is terrible, scoring just 17.5 points per game, and they also turn the ball over a lot. They now face a Chargers defense that is best in the NFL, along just 12.6 points a game, and also excels at taking the ball away with one of the best turnover differentials in the NFL. Titans also aren't good defensively, allowing 26.6 points per game. And while the Chargers aren't the greatest offensive team, scoring a little under 20 points a game, I do think they'll find a good amount of offensive success against a bad defense. With the Chargers, they're the better team here. They'll win this game because of their defense, and I've got the Chargers winning by a score of 21-10. Up next, we have the Eagles at the Cowboys. The Cowboys will be starting Cooper Rush at quarterback this week, as Dak Prescott is out for a while with a hamstring injury. The Cowboys offense is scoring 21.4 points a game, although I don't really see them hitting that mark this week without Dak Prescott, plus CeeDee Lamb's battling a shoulder injury. But now the banged up Cowboy offense faces a good Eagles defense that is allowing 19.4 points a game. The Eagles offense is also good, scoring 25 points a game, and they have a great run game, rushing for 174 yards per game, which ranks second in the NFL. They don't face a Cowboys defense that is allowing 28.1 points a game, which is second worst, plus they're the third worst defense against the run, allowing 147 rushing yards per game. But the Eagles, they're going to be able to run the football at will. Their defense will have success against an injury-riddled Cowboys offense, and the Eagles win this game fairly easily, 24-14. Moving on, we have the Cardinals hosting the Jets. So this is a tough game to predict, as the Jets, they get a much-needed win last week, and they actually look pretty good doing so, as they beat the Texans, and their offense had one of their best games of the season. Now, there was a lot of good things in that game for the Jets, so there's a chance they can build on that into this week's game. But they don't face a Cardinals team that's playing well, as their winners of 3 straight, and just destroyed the Bears 29-9. But the Jets' offense is okay, scoring 19 points a game, and they face a Cardinals defense that is also okay, allowing 23.8 points a game. Then offensively for the Cardinals, they're scoring 23 points a game, and face the Jets defense allowing 20.3 points a game. But this is a really difficult game for me to predict. I don't think either team is terrible, but either team is great either. I could really see this game going either way. But the Cardinals, they just found success against a team with a good defense last week as they beat the Bears. They're home and playing well. I'm going to take the Cardinals to win 21-20. But this is a game that could really go either way. Moving on, we have the Lions at the Texans on Sunday Night Football. So we will have a live watch party for this game, and that will start at about 8:15 Eastern Time on Sunday, so I hope to see you guys there. The Lions, they've looked like arguably the best team in the NFL, as they're sitting at 7-1. But they don't face a tough task going on the road against the Texans, who are 6-3. The Lions' offense is great, leading the league, putting up 32.3 points per game, and they face the Texans' defense, allowing 22 points a game. Although the Texans' defense could be without Will Anderson Jr., and that would be a huge loss for them defensively. Now, the Texans' offense is pretty solid, scoring 22.3 points a game, but struggled last week with just 13 points. Now, there is a chance that receiver Nico Collins returns from injury this week, although he seems like a long shot to play, although there is a chance. But the Texans need to be able to protect CJ Stroud in this game, as the Texans have allowed the second most sacks so far this year, and they face a good Lions defense that is allowing 18.5 points per game, and does a pretty good job getting to the quarterback as they have 20 sacks, plus they just added Za'Darius Smith to boost the pass rush. But the Lions, they've been great so far this year. I'm going to take them to get the win. I think they'll be able to pressure CJ Stroud. Their offense will be great as usual, and the Lions win by a score of 26-19. Up next, we have the Dolphins at the Rams on Monday Night Football. So we will also have a live watch party for this game, and that will start at about 8:15 Eastern Time on Monday, so again, I hope to see you guys there. But this is an interesting game. The Dolphins, they're 2-6, but nearly beat the Bills last week, and the Rams, they're 4-4, winners of 3 straight. The Dolphins' offense was good last week, tying their season high with 27 points, and they've actually scored 27 points in back-to-back games. They don't face a Rams defense that's allowing over 24 points a game, so I could see the Dolphins having another good offensive showing. The Rams' offense is solid, scoring 21.3 points a game, and they face the Dolphins' defense that's okay, allowing 23.4 points a game. But this game is pretty tough to predict. Similar to the Cardinals-Jets game, I don't think either team is great. I don't think either team is terrible. But the Rams are home. I'm going to take them to get the win, but I would not be shocked if the Dolphins get the win. But I've got the Rams 23-19. But that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications so you don't miss any other upcoming videos. I do my best to post as often as possible. Be sure to check out the community tab of my channel, where you guys can vote on who you think will win some of this week's big games. But thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.